Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Some 10,000 migrants have gathered under a US-Mexico border bridge over recent days, leading to a growing humanitarian crisis. The mostly Haitian migrants who have crossed the Rio Grande are sleeping in squalid conditions under the bridge that connects Del Rio in Texas to Mexico's Ciudad Acuna. In the south of Mexico, dozens of migrants, mostly from Central America and the Caribbean, marched in the city of Tapulca, complaining of mistreatment by local authorities and shouting, "We are not criminals." The US and the UK are facing growing international criticism over the AUKUS new security pact signed with Australia. The countries will give Australia the technology to build nuclear-powered submarines, which has angered France that declared it had been stabbed in the back. China also accused the three powers of having a Cold War mentality. A video has been released in the hope of finding a Florida woman who has been missing for weeks after taking a road trip with her boyfriend.
I'm sorry, we've just been fighting this morning.
The couple embarked for the trip in June and got stopped by the police in Utah after receiving a complaint about a domestic disturbance.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
22-year-old Gabby Petito has since disappeared, with her boyfriend Brian Laundrie refusing to tell police anything about what happened.
Did you grab the steering wheel?
No, I didn't.
You did not touch the steering wheel?
Her family hope the video may encourage people to come forward with information about the case. A judge has ruled that Prince Andrew's US lawyer can be served with legal papers in a sexual assault case filed by Virginia Giuffre in New York. It follows a dispute over whether the prince has been formally notified of the civil claim against him. New York Judge Lewis Kaplan ruled Miss Giuffre's lawyers could take the US route to serve papers on the prince. The 38-year-old claims she was sexually assaulted by the prince at 3 locations, including New York City. The Netherlands foreign minister has resigned over her handling of the Afghan evacuation crisis last month. Dutch MPs had passed a motion of censure against Sigrid Kaag, saying the government was too slow to respond and left behind many Afghans who should have been able to flee. Ms. Kaag said she stood by her actions but accepted the MP's verdict. She is the first Western government official to step down over the chaos that followed the Taliban takeover. A smart voting app devised by jailed Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has been removed from Apple and Google stores on the day Russians start voting in parliamentary elections. Russian authorities had threatened to fine the two companies if they refused to drop the app, which told users who could unseat ruling party candidates. Although a total of 14 parties are taking part in the vote, many candidates seen as anti-Putin are barred from running, and some prominent Kremlin opponents have been forced to leave Russia. The UN is expressing concern that hundreds of trucks carrying aid to the northern Ethiopian region of Tigray are not returning. The UN team in the country had said that none of 149 trucks in a convoy that went to the Tigrayan capital Mekelle last week have returned. The Ethiopian government has said it suspected that Tigray rebels have been seizing trucks for their own logistics, but the spokesperson of the Tigray People's Liberation Front has denied responsibility. 3 Chinese astronauts have returned to Earth after completing the country's longest crewed space mission. They spent 90 days at the Tianhe module on China's space station, some 380 kilometers above the Earth. The 3 men boarded the spacecraft on Thursday and undocked from the space station. The mission is another demonstration of China's growing confidence and capability in the space domain. And finally, London Fashion Week has kicked off with the first in-person catwalk shows in a year. Following a completely virtual event in February when Britain was under national lockdown, this Fashion Week sees the return of international press and buyers after the easing of travel restrictions. The lineup is featuring 79 physical events and 82 digital productions, showcasing women's wear and menswear. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.